There's, have you ever felt like there's uh, more to reality than what we see, you know?
Yeah.
Like when a weird coincidence happens or you get that creepy feeling of being watched.
Yeah.
Today we're going to deep dive into that, into synchronicity, which is like meaningful coincidences. And we're also going to look into why people are so fascinated with ghosts and hauntings, especially here in the USA.
Right.
We've gone through tons of research, and we're going to try to see how these ideas all fit together, especially like how they affect the way you see and experience the world. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Cool.
I think one of the most interesting things right off the bat is just how much humans crave meaning. Like, we want to find it everywhere.
Yeah.
And you see that in these strange coincidences that just feel way too important to be just random, right?
Yeah,
And you definitely see it in how many people believe in ghosts.
absolutely. Okay, so let's start with this idea of synchronicity. Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, called it a causal connecting principle. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, it basically means that it's a coincidence, but it's not directly caused by anything.
Okay.
It's more like a coincidence that feels really, really meaningful to you specifically.
Yeah.
That feeling is super important. Like, it sets it apart from just some random thing that happened.
Totally. So it's not just random chance. It's like it
Yeah,
means something to you personally.
exactly. Jung actually worked with a physicist named Wolfgang Pauli to try and understand these causal connections better.
Oh, wow.
They wanted to figure out, maybe they could offer some deeper insight into reality itself. Like, could this be a way to connect the psychological and physical worlds?
Oh, interesting.
But it's not about magic or anything. It's more about this idea that everything's connected in a deeper way.
Yeah.
This was a concept that Jung actually saw reflected in ancient philosophies, like the I Ching.
Oh, right, right.
You can almost think of it like your brain's constantly trying to find patterns in all the everyday chaos of life, and sometimes it stumbles across these patterns that just feel super meaningful, even if there's no obvious reason for them to be there.
I like that. So it's your brain picking out these meaningful patterns.
Yeah, yeah, and that feeling of meaning, that's the really crucial part.
Yeah, that's what makes it synchronicity. So, like, Jung himself had this crazy experience with the scarab beetle, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a classic example.
Where, like, his patient was describing this dream, and then, boom, a scarab beetle appears in his office.
Exactly. So she's talking about this image of a golden scarab beetle, and then out of nowhere, a real one flies into the room and lands on the windowsill. It was like the dream image was mirroring a real event.
Wow.
And Jung linked this kind of thing to the collective unconscious and what he called the psychoid archetype. It's almost like this point where the mind and the physical world intersect.
Whoa, that's pretty deep. So, synchronicity could be evidence of this deeper layer of reality, this collective unconscious.
Well, it's definitely one way to interpret it.
Yeah, for sure.
The problem is that it's super hard to study scientifically because it's so personal. But we've all had those moments, right? You think about someone and then they call you out of the blue. You keep seeing repeating numbers like 11.11. You dream about someone and then the next day you bump into them.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
That's that feeling of personal relevance,
And how could that be just random?
right?
Right. So psychologically, these moments can actually be really powerful. They can change the way you look at things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It can feel like you're getting some sort of guidance or a sign,
Totally.
like a little reassurance from the universe. And they definitely connect you to something bigger than yourself. It can even bring unconscious thoughts or feelings to the surface.
That makes sense. But of course, there are other explanations, right? Like science might say it's confirmation bias, where we only remember things that confirm what we already believe.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor.
Or apophenia, where we see patterns in things that are actually random. Like our brains are wired to look for patterns everywhere, even if they don't actually exist.
Exactly. Our brains are pattern-seeking machines. Sometimes that can be helpful, but other times it can lead us to see connections where there are none.
Yeah, totally. And then there's the law of truly large numbers, right? With so many things happening all the time, some improbable events are bound to occur just by chance.
Exactly.
So maybe some of these meaningful coincidences are just, well, coincidences. But it's really interesting to think about how our minds might be playing tricks on us.
Yeah, definitely. I think apophenia is a really good example of that.
Okay, so we've talked about synchronicity. Now let's switch gears and talk about ghosts and hauntings in the USA. It's a pretty widespread cultural belief, right? That spirits of the dead can interact with us.
Oh, yeah. It's a belief that's been around for centuries, even though there's no solid scientific evidence to support it.
Right.
but people still report these experiences all the time.
And there are so many different kinds of hauntings, too.
Mm.
There are residual hauntings, where it's like a replay of past events, and intelligent hauntings, where the ghost seems to be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, and then you've got poltergeists, which are known for being mischievous and causing disturbances, and shadow people, which are these dark figures people see out of the corner of their eye. There's a whole spectrum of reported experiences.
Right, so it's not just one type of ghost, it's like a whole bunch of different things. And then, of course, you've got these famous haunted places like Eastern State Penitentiary. I heard that place is seriously creepy.
It has quite a reputation. A lot of people claim to have seen the ghost of Al Capone there.
Oh, wow.
Then there's the RMS Queen Mary, this famous ocean liner. A lot of people died on that ship, and it's supposedly crawling with ghosts.
So, how do synchronicity and ghosts relate to each other?
Well, Jung saw synchronicity as a way to understand the paranormal, a way to see the connection between inner and outer events. Like maybe there's a link between these meaningful coincidences and ghost encounters.
Oh, okay, I see.
Like, let's say you're walking through a cemetery and you suddenly think of your grandmother who passed away, and then right at that moment, you hear a twig snap behind you.
Oh, that would be freaky.
Right. Some people might interpret that as a sign that their grandmother's spirit is present.
Yeah.
So the coincidence of thinking about her and then hearing the noise creates this feeling of a paranormal connection.
Right, so it's all about how we interpret these things. Right.
Exactly. Our beliefs play a huge role. If you already believe in ghosts, you're much more likely to interpret things that way.
Totally. What about that feeling of being watched? It's crazy
Huh.
how many people experience that. Like you're in a store and you just feel like someone's staring at you, even though you can't see anyone.
Well, there are some psychological explanations for that. It could be confirmation bias again. Like if you're feeling anxious or paranoid, you might be more likely to misinterpret neutral cues as someone watching you.
Oh, that makes sense.
Our brains are also really good at detecting gazes. We're super sensitive to it. So you might pick up on a glance subconsciously without even realizing it. Plus, reflections and things in your environment can also create that feeling of being watched, especially if you're already on edge.
So maybe it's not always a ghost. Sometimes it's just our brains playing tricks on us.
Right. Our minds are powerful things.
Okay, so going back to coincidences, a lot of them are probably just probability, right? Like, if enough stuff happens, unlikely things are bound to happen eventually.
Exactly. And the way we interpret those unlikely things depends on a lot of factors.
Yeah.
How relevant does it feel to us personally? When did it happen? What symbolic meaning do we attach to it?
Right.
Our emotions at the time also play a role. How rare do we think it is? And of course, what we already believe about the world. Someone who's really religious or spiritual might be more likely to find meaning in a coincidence than someone who's not.
It all just goes to show how much our minds shape the reality we experience. If you believe in the paranormal, you'll probably see paranormal explanations everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And these experiences of synchronicity, they can really strengthen that feeling of connection to the universe.
Absolutely. And they might even make you more likely to trust your intuition and those gut feelings.
That's so interesting. So for everyone